Kennet Control, Alitalia 247, just passing Mel's flight level 330.
Alitalia 247, this is Kennet Radio identified, maintain flight level 330.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Angelique, your chief flight attendant for today. On behalf of the entire crew, I welcome you aboard UTM Airlines flight MB3533. We will be flying at an altitude of 35,000 feet per meter at a ground speed of 560 miles per hour. Do make sure that you have your notes and writing materials in hand, along with full focus and any other electronic devices switched off. Stay tuned for the knowledge about to be delivered. Thank you.
First, we'll take a look at the historical aspect. The world's first air traffic control tower was commissioned by the UK government in 1920 in London's main airport in Croydon. The control tower was seen as a huge blessing, as airfields before this had radio offices and lighthouses, but nothing to the extent of providing technical air traffic services to aircraft. The civil aviation traffic officers provided basic traffic, location and weather information to pilots over the radio. The progress was tracked using basic radio navigation and plotted using paper maps, pins and flags. After which the United States' first control tower was built in Newark in 1935, Cleveland and Chicago in 1936. A flight profile describes the operational characteristics of an aircraft as it flies along a flight track. As you can tell, there are 7 significant phases in the flight profile. Firstly, the pre-flight phase. The plane is inspected, after which a flight plan is prepared and submitted to the control tower. The information is then keyed into the Federal Aviation Administration host computer and the flight progress strip is generated. Only then clearance is given to the pilot and the ground and local controllers begin executing their tasks. The ground controller directs the plane from the gate to the runway, while the local controller gives the final clearance to take off. The second phase? Take off, of course! Next, the departure. The pilots first activate the transponder device in the aircraft to detect incoming radar signals and turn them into an amplified radio signal. The flight is now monitored by the departure controller under the TRACON sector. In the en route, which is monitored by the ARTCC sector, we have 3 types of controllers, one being the associative radar controller, which works cooperatively with the radar controller, and the radar handoff controller, which assists in times of emergency. In the descent phase, the approach controller plays a significant role in instructing the pilot to descend. Phase would be the approach phase, whereby it is now under the TRACON sector. And yet again, in the final phase, which is the landing phase, the 2 controllers the local controller and ground controller play significant roles. The sector divisions of the air traffic control system. Firstly, the Air Traffic Control System Command Center, which is the main monitor of all air traffic control, also in case of any problems. Then we have the Air Route Traffic Control Center, which manages traffic within all sectors, of course, except for the tracking ones. The Terminal Radar Approach Control manages the departures and approaches of the aircraft. The Air Control Tower is located at airports and handles takeoff, landing, and ground traffic. And finally, the Flight Service Station provides information to private pilots in and out of small airports and rural areas. Also assists in emergencies.
Hi, I'm Aisyah, your other cabin crew. How do you make sure and secure aircraft safety? Terminal Radar Approach Control or track-on is not actually at the airport. They use surveillance radar and ensure the planes are on the designated flight path with speed based on the flight plan that they filed with the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA). FAA is an airport security. Therefore, we can track what aircraft should be landed first here and there. This helps to minimize turbulence and prevent crashing to one another. The most dangerous time for an airplane is during takeoff or landing. So here comes the ACC function. ACC is an area control center that takes over the airplane flying out of airport, and they monitor the aircraft flights through remote radar stations depending on where the aircraft is going. The traffic control responsibilities could be passed to more than one ACC. For instance, we are traveling from LA all the way to Tokyo going to have different ACC. Then if you are from LA to Chicago, we are using another ACC. Control tower is very crucial. It is to ensure the safety of aircraft, pilots, flight attendants, and of course the airline passengers. Their job is to make sure bad days to be okay despite windy day and stormy sky. So what tools did they do it? Let me tell you a short story. In 1941, during the attack on Pearl Harbor, they spotted the Japanese attack coming using radar. They ignored and wait until later it was kind of echo on the screen, and no one knows what that means. The system back then uses a continuous radio signal and it bounces off stuff like that, but you can't really see what was dancing off the echoes, so we couldn't determine the size of the flying object nor to calculate the speed of the altitude. Basically, PSR is a ground radar that listens to small amount of return energy from aircraft. It will not give any side effect on the pilot. You can just put it on the ground somewhere and it will pin whatever is in the air. Secondary Surveillance Radar (SSR), which transmit radio signal. The radio signal is then hit the transponder found on the airplane, causing the radio waves to bounce off the body of the plane. On the other hand, transponder receive radio signal from SSR and producing a different signal. It will code aircraft's position, altitude, and call sign. In short, additional information of the plane will be sent to control tower so that they can track the plane's speed, location, and direction. All of these things are designated to keep track of all moving parts, neither air nor land. Airport is a very complicated place with these little trucks running around, the plane's runaway worker, and all these giant, expensive, very fragile planes driving here and there. With the help of all this system, we could avoid accident, potential crash, or runaway
Ladies and
incursion.
gentlemen, welcome to KLIA Airport. We are almost at the end of the video. If you enjoyed the journey, we are appreciate if you could please press like and comment down below. On behalf of UTM Airlines and the entire crew, I would like to thank you for joining us, and we are looking forward to see you soon on board again. Stay at home and stay safe.